in sweatpants at Stella's in the morning. In line for a table, but the locals are swarming. Gotta get my coffee or soon I'll be snoring. Lazy Sundays never get boring, telling Syracuse stories.
Welcome to this episode of Syracuse Stories. I'm Megan Chode. Over the past month, I've had the pleasure of getting to know Anthony and Eric McGriff, and it's clear that they carry their philosophies of celebrating difference and leaving the world a better place with them in everything that they do, whether it be their music or their activism. Take a look.
Back tonight, we have the power, we have the right, the streets are ours. Take back the night. We have the power. We have the right. The streets are ours. Take back the night. We have the right. The streets are ours. Take back the night. We have the power.
I started when I was 10, and it was for the sole purpose that my best friend at the time was doing it. I just started playing the cello, and to be honest, it was kind of like a thing. It was like, you can get out of class for this, you know? So, you know, and it was something I was pretty good at, and I somewhat enjoyed, so I just took the opportunity and I just went with it.
We have the power, we have the right, the streets are ours, take back the night.
And for me, I started and then I quit. I wasn't with it, and then I started again in 6th grade, and our teacher, Kristen Koff, who went here, she decided to change up her teaching style, and my first day back we learned a jazz scale, and from then on I stuck with it because I liked this sort of alternative new approach that she was taking to music, and it was very non-traditional, but it was fun.
It was kind of the first time we ever played anything but classical music, and ever since then, we started doing our own thing. You know, after middle school, we went on to junior high and high school where they only played strictly classical music. But Eric and I, given our experience in middle school, started doing hip hop because we weren't really rock fans.
No means no. Whatever we wear, wherever we go. Yes means yes. No means no. Whatever we wear, wherever we go.
We've always been very open to questioning norms and stuff just because of our upbringing, you know, growing up in a very undiverse place with a single mother who has, you know, half black kids and the ridicule she's gotten from parents in our schools. And, you know, I remember we were 5 years old, and it was like the Sunday after our birthday, like our uncle sat us down and he's like, "You no longer are boys, you are young men, and you're going to start acting like young men." And one of the things that young men do, a real man knows how to do every single domestic chore, and he never expects a woman to do them for him.
What we tell people isn't anything new. You know, we tell people to respect people whether you know them or not. You know, if there's one thing I find that people are good at is finding reasons to hate somebody. You know, whether they have too much sex, their skin is too dark, they don't believe in the same gods as me. You know what I'm saying? They're male and they like other men. You know, and we come up with all these reasons to hate people that don't even really matter. I'm going to try to change the mindsets of the people I interact with in whatever capacity. And as far as music, that's going to be with me everywhere I go. I think that our music, just like our voices, are important. It needs to be here. It needs to be heard. And like I said, it's a reminder that you don't know what to expect. You know, you don't know what my sound is. And if you haven't listened to my sound, if you haven't listened to my voice, how do you not know how do you know if you don't like it or not?
My philosophy is that I have a moral obligation to try to make this world better better than it was before I came. You know, no matter how small that is, I believe that is my moral obligation, that is my civic duty, and I owe it to this world to try to improve it in some kind of way before I'm gone.
Mine's a little shorter. It's just celebrate and embrace difference.
Anthony and Eric, they're really committed to gender justice equality. And a lot of the work that they do and been doing on campus has been really motivated to that, from their work with the Advocacy Center to the work that they were doing with a men's issue to the work that they were doing with Take Back the Night, all these different things. So last semester when I became president of the National Paneling Council, that became one of the things that we decided as a whole that we wanted to take a stand against. So we came up with a whole campaign for ourselves called Greece Against Sexual Violence. And then from that original campaign that we created, we sent it out to a bunch of other schools in hopes that they could possibly want to start a campaign at their school.
Joe Biden was launching a task force to deal with sexual assault on college campuses, and he just basically used some recommendations in creating his policy. And we were fortunate enough to be invited, and the unveiling, I guess, of the policy or whatever it was he was doing at the time, he let us come, and we were just one of a handful of students that were there, and it was a great opportunity, and it just led to, you know, more connections and meeting more people, networking, and it just grew from there.
We're faces and spokespersons for the United Nations Women in their He for She campaign. So like that's consulting domestically and globally with grassroots organizations, politicians working, you know, to speak at embassies and help politicians develop policy based on our specialty, which is mainly gender-based violence. But it also goes into peace and nonviolence work, which deals with one of the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN. And one thing we actually just started with was a partnership with one of the princes of Saudi Arabia, Fahad Al Saud. And he has a company called New Arab Media. And it's interesting because in Saudi Arabia, it's very, very restricting of women. But this prince, he's actually very, very liberal. He went to Stanford, and I reached out to him over a year ago, and I've been in contact with him. And on May 15th, we're actually taking over the UN General Assembly floor to have an event sponsored by the Prince of Saudi Arabia. He's going to be with us to talk about women's empowerment, non-liberal, you know, movements of feminism, and how, you know, in the West, we cannot be shaming women in the Middle East who might want to veil because it makes them feel closer to God, or who might find comfort in maybe, you know, submitting to a male deity, or find comfort in being a housewife or something like that. And after, you know, I want to continue working for the UN. I love the impact. I love working with the politicians, as frustrating as it can be. But, you know, I might go with New Arab Media if this, you know, consulting with the Prince goes very well.
The work's going to continue in one way or another. I don't care if I'm a school teacher. I'm going to try to change the mindsets of the people I interact with in whatever capacity.
I'm just going to say selfless. And the reason why I say that is because I know that a lot of the work that Eric does, it can cause someone to kind of forget about themselves. So just seeing the good in every situation or in everyone. So that's what I love about Anthony. He's just a genuine brother to me, and I've learned so much from that.
Diversity is key in finding truth. The only way we know something is truth is if we know it survives like the criticism of different opinions, you know? And when you discover a truth, you've done society such a great service. But when you attempt to oppress the truth, when you attempt to hide the truth, and when that truth is submerged, it may take centuries for that truth to come back to light.
Take Back Night is actually like a nationwide kind of event and movement, and really it's about campus communities and like other communities coming together to show support to survivors and demand an end to violence and pledge to never commit violence on another person.
So Take Back the Night actually started in Belgium or England. No one really knows for the history, and it started with women who were given curfews because it was said that they would be raped or sexually assaulted when they were outside at nighttime, so they had to stay indoors. Obviously, the problem with that is we know it doesn't matter what you're wearing. It doesn't matter if you kissed them, if you flirted with them, danced with them, if you're drunk, if you're walking home alone at night. If you do not give someone sober, uncoerced permission to touch your body, they do not have the right to touch your body. Even if they are walking naked down the street, you do not have that right to invade their space. So this is about addressing that rape culture that says, oh, women have to do all this, put your hair in a ponytail, keys between your fingers, keep your phone charging, all these things that women have to do that men don't have to do. It's an overwhelming experience because of the mixed emotions that you go on throughout, the journey that is the event, the march, the rally, the speak out. And just the visual of walking in there and seeing all the different Hands Against Violence banners. All the orgs make those, and it's your handprint shows that you will never use your hand for violence. That alone, with all the signatures, is an empowering message. Giving a space for a survivor to share their truth, or for someone who knows a survivor to share their truth, that's a space that so many people don't have. And to put it in some place like Hendrix, that fills up with 1,200 people, all who are there saying we are a community of empowered bystanders, right? We want to make this community so safe that no one is afraid to walk home alone at night. That is, it gives me goosebumps to even think about. Every time I talk about this event, I get goosebumps.
So we're outside Hendrix Chapel. They've just finished the Take Back the Night rally, and they're about to march against domestic violence and sexual assault.
This rape culture has got to go, hey, hey, ho, ho. This rape culture has got to go, hey, hey, ho, ho. This rape culture has got to go, hey, hey, ho, ho. This rape culture has got to go.
I've been a part of a lot of safe spaces on campus, having these conversations about assault and all these issues, and never have they been that big, 1,200 people, And that is the one night a year where our campus finds out that sexual assault is real. The hardest thing that when coming to dealing with sexual assault and violence prevention is that nobody wants to talk about it. Obviously, offenders don't talk about it, and it takes a tremendous amount of strength for a survivor to come forward and say, hey, somebody put their power over me and took something from me. Somebody took something that was very sacred to me that I was saving, and they took it from me, And when you have peers coming forward and sharing story after story after story after story, it's like, wow, this actually happens,
What's your experience of Taking Back the Night been like so far?
It's honestly just been great to hear all these people come in and discuss more about an issue that needs to be talked about more. It's a conversation that not necessarily is the most comfortable, but it's a conversation that we need to have, and that, I'm glad we have an event like Take Back the Night.
Yeah, it was very emotional and moving for me. Personally, I have never experienced sexual assault, but I know a lot of my sisters and friends have, so it was really great to hear these stories and see what kind of change we can make on this campus if we're really listening and being active.
If you want to change the culture, I believe, I've been saying this for a while now, you have one conversation a day about something that matters. And people don't want to do that. They'd rather talk about sex, who's having sex with who, where the bottle's coming from, what's the move for the night, are we going to the bars? That's fine. But think about it. How much time out of class do you actually spend talking about something that matters?
You will, it's hard because they tell us in our line of work, a lot of people only stay in it from 5 to 7 years. We're on year 6 right now. And, I don't see any end in sight, but it is, as emotionally draining as it is the most rewarding work that I have ever done. Anthony is my best friend. I think there's something nice about having someone that you can't really hide anything from, even if you wanted to. Yeah, but yeah, that's how I'd finish it. Yeah.
I'd say Eric is passionate. He's emotionally invested in this work and physically invested in this work a lot. He never says no. Never says no when he's given an opportunity. Even though he should sometimes, he never says no. And if he needs help, I'm there to help him. But he's passionate. He loves this work, and if there's something to be passionate about, I think empowering women and liberating men from these social chains that society puts on them is one hell of a thing to be passionate about.
We hope that this episode inspires you to celebrate your differences and your unique skills and use them to make this world a better place. We're using our skills to help tell your stories. If you know of a story that you'd like us to tell, please email us at SyracuseStoriesTV@gmail.com. Thanks for watching. I'm Megan Choate. We'll see you next time.
sweatpants at Stella's in the morning. In line for a table, but the locals are swarming. Gotta get my coffee or soon I'll be snoring. Lazy Sundays never get boring, telling Syracuse stories.